Technically, I think a minute. Is that it?
We'll sit tight then for a minute. Here he comes. So quiet.
Kind of like the wedding, just wait a minute.
Yeah, right. We can get started. I anticipate he'll be coming along.
Yep.
Call to order a Presque City Council special meeting for Thursday, April 15th, 2025. We currently have 6 out of 7 councilors present, expecting the 7th shortly. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you very much. We're gathered here to have a discussion to authorize our interim city manager and our finance director to accept the USDA's loan recommendation for the airport. From here, Ms. Interim City Manager, would you like to bring us up to speed on what's going on here?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do have a memo to read this evening, if I may. And then our airport director and finance director is here to help clarify as well.
Okay, thank you.
Honorable Presque City Council and citizens, good evening and thank you for being here. I want to begin tonight by acknowledging the magnitude of this project and the very real concerns many in our community have about its cost. The Presque International Airport project has always represented both a challenge and a tremendous opportunity for regional growth, for modernized infrastructure, and for long-term connectivity. As many of you know, we are set to break ground on April 15th. In recent days, we received from the USDA that they are adding $3 million contingency requirement to the $12 million loan already authorized. While this news was unexpected and understandably frustrating, I want to be clear. This additional contingency is not an expansion of the project. It's a financial safeguard the USDA requires to protect against market volatility. And it is now a condition of moving forward with their participation. We've explored options thoroughly, but with over $40 million in committed federal and grant funding already secured, including $22 million in congressional funds, stepping back or renegotiating at this stage would not only delay the project, but could place all that funding at risk. That is not a risk I believe we should be willing to take on behalf of this community. I know this is difficult. We are here tonight to share facts, to answer your questions, and most importantly, to listen. This project is for all of us, and our job is to see it through as responsibly and as transparently as possible. As we move forward, our focus remains on stewardship of funds, our community's future, and of the trust you've placed in us. This airport is a once-in-a-generation investment, and while it comes with complexity, it also comes with incredible potential. Tonight is about staying engaged, staying informed, and working together to navigate the challenges ahead. We didn't arrive here lightly, and we won't move forward carelessly. Thank you for your time, your voices, and your continued commitment to Presque Isle's future. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Sonia, thank you. So, at this point, should we call up our airport director to kind of explain where things are at?
I think that would be helpful, if you don't mind, Scott.
Mr. Wardwell? It's your turn.
Okay. As I indicated in my memo, basically nothing has changed with the project from when it was approved back in November to this day. There's been no increase in cost or expenses between then and now. And simply USDA, their procedures are to build in a 15% contingency. In the case of FAA does not build in contingencies. The vast majority of this project is funded by FAA, and certainly my background is more dealing with FAA funded projects. So typically what we see with FAA projects, because the project is 100% designed and 100% bid before the grant is ever written, we tend to basically see very few change orders, and they tend to be a small amount. And so that's one of the reasons why we just really didn't build a lot of extra in for contingency, and it's typical of FAA not to allow contingency. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions. I'll be happy to go into any background to really discuss how we arrived at the design that we did, in the process that we went through to basically minimize costs where we could. And so I open that out to you.
Scott, real quick, could you kind of just go over quickly what's contingency mean? When people hear that we're including a 15% contingency in the USDA loan package because of USDA procedures, what does contingency?
Contingency is something that's built in case there is some unforeseen expense. Okay, it's not meant to increase the size of the project through increase in scope of work or something like that. It's mainly there to address unforeseen occurrences. Typically, when projects are undertaken at the very beginning, as planners sit around the table and decide whether to even embark on a project, they'll do kind of a draft budget, and they'll include contingency in it. Okay, as you refine that plan and you start to do schematic design and then more detailed design, as you go, you reduce the contingency. You continue to do cost estimates, and with every iteration, you reduce the contingency because you're getting more sure of what the actual cost is going to be. In the case of the FAA, they really wait until they have the most facts that they can have, and that's, you've got bid in hand. the design is 100% complete, and you're ready to really start the project, building the project. So contingency is just something that's built in case. Okay. Now, with the USDA, they're typically involved with these projects much earlier on. Okay. They tend to sign on much earlier in the process. So a 15% contingency would be pretty standard for starting a project where you have you're hired the engineers, you're incurring expenses and that kind of thing. At our stage, the amount of contingency would be a lot less. I've gone to construction before on non-FAA projects with 2 or 3% contingency because the budget was very tight, and to throw in a 10 or 15% contingency, you couldn't have done the project.
With the bids that have already been submitted for the various stages of this project, was there contingency factored in or built into those bids?
Essentially,
I mean, is that a standard operation or standard practice when bidding jobs like this to have a contingency in place, if you will, and then an additional contingency on top of it all, or?
typically contractors do not. They may have their own internal contingency, but in most cases, they try to maximize what they actually get paid. So, in the case of the building is a lump sum amount. Okay, this is the building. It's designed like this. It's not. There's not any renovation. Sometimes renovation projects can be really unpredictable. This is brand new construction. You're going out in the field and you're building it. Okay. Now, in the other portions of this project, they're not lump sum. Okay. The airport apron and also the parking lot are actually based on per unit values, and those types of projects tend to have a little bit more, I'm going to say, fluff or contingency in them.
Thank you.
So, Scott, basically, this was not presented to us in November because this is an entirely new requirement of the USDA since we last met and approved all of this. So we're not really needing to relitigate, if you will, the project, because the project is the project. It's just that in order for them to give us this loan, they're requiring this verbiage to be in the document now. And other than that, we're no different than we were when we approved this in November. Is that pretty accurate?
That is 100% correct.
Okay.
And the only discussion is why we didn't include a contingency, because it isn't standard procedure for FAA projects.
Okay.
So, Scott, what happens if the only place I could really see issues would be when you dig into the ground? Like, what happens if you find extensive ledge or something underground left over from World War II or whatever? Like, how does that get handled, I guess, from a funding standpoint?
Basically, those things tend to be in the ebb and flow of the project. Okay. In most cases, when we're doing a lump sum type of thing, we factor that in. Okay. But one thing that we do as well is that we actually do geotech analysis. So all over the project site, we went out there we actually dug test pits and determined what was down there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, in saying all that, have you used DigSafe or anything like that, just to figure out what you've got actually underneath all of that, with like pipelines, water lines, sewer lines, electrical, or anything like that?
DigSafe essentially is limited to how far they will come on the property. But DigSafe was actually employed during the actual design of the project. And we have pretty good records as well, even from the military days.
So there is a second part that was changed though, and that's the term of the loan, correct?
What was changed?
The term of the loan?
Essentially, what was, yes. It went from 40 years to 30, and that was necessitated by the state of Maine.
And we're paying that back through rentals, correct?
That's correct.
How does that alter? I mean, the rental amount that we.
That's
pay.
correct. The rental amount per month has to go up in order to cover that.
It's still viable though.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the things that we were required to do by USDA was to do an architectural feasibility report. And a big part of that report was to really kind of look at the financial viability based on a borrowing $12 million and paying it back over the time frame. We've had substantial growth in revenues, and so we used a linear regression and just projected it ahead in a couple of years.
So, to add on to that, it does state that here, it states that Maine municipalities are extended to a 30-year term, and the term begins the day that you break ground on the project.
That's correct.
So with that, what do you have for income coming in? Does that mean that the payments also are going to start the minute the ground is broken?
No, the payments actually begin once USDA comes in, pays off the interim lender plus interest, and then we'll be occupying the building, and then the payments begin.
So it's after the 18 months?
That's
after the
correct.
Construction period?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, yeah, thanks, Scott. Really nothing out of the ordinary, I don't believe, so. Does anybody else have anything they'd like to discuss on this? It seems to me to be pretty straightforward.
Mr. Chair, I've written a motion ahead of time for your convenience.
I would entertain that motion.
Is there a copy for all of us? Or?
Yes, there is. Yeah, Mike got his. Did he?
Thank you very much. So financing up to $15 million, where is that gonna be financed through
USDA.
the USDA?
And this replaces the motion that you had in October that says that you authorize the city manager to finance up to $12,063,628.
So just for clarification, do we need to rescind that and then replace it with this?
I think that would be the cleanest way to do that, if you were to rescind this motion and then replace it with the one you have in front of you.
Is that right?
Yeah, or as part of this, you could say that this supersedes and,
Yeah, this-
Build the language right into that if
Yep,
you wanted
okay.
to.
Laura, are we just gonna borrow what we need though? Like if we get NBRC grants and other grants, like what will the actual loan term be?
Yeah, so if we get the $2.5 million grant, the interim financing would only be for 9.5 instead of the 12. So essentially, if we don't use the $3 million contingency, it'd be placed back onto the loan with the USDA, and the loan would be at that 12 at that point.
Okay.
And potentially $2.5 million less than that.
Is there any like penalty for early payment or anything like that, or do you have to let the loan go?
With the interim financing piece, the payment is interest only at this time, and it would be paid at the end of the construction period when USDA pays off that loan.
Okay.
what's the date of that?
This was October 20th, I believe,
The motion,
the original motion.
right there, the one that we voted on last time.
It's not on this particular
It's not dated.
piece. I think it was October 20th, though. October 30th, 2024.
October 30th.
The date that you actually took the vote to authorize, it was at the November 6th, 2009. The memo was written on October 30th.
Oh, thank you, Scott.
Yeah.
Okay. Can I take a stab at a thing? Okay. Mr. Chairman, I move that the Presque City Council authorize the interim city manager and the finance director to secure financing up to $15 million for the purpose of constructing the passenger terminal building, including the associated sites, utilities, the terminal ramp as part of the Presque International Expansion Project. I also will recommend that we rescind the memo of October 30th, 2024, approved on November 6th, 2024, and that this language update that in the project file.
With all that said, I will second it.
Very well. Thank you for the motion, Craig, and thank you for seconding, Hank. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor? All right, 7-0, unanimous, motion passes.
Thank you, council.
Very well. Thank you very much, everybody, and
Move that we adjourn?
motion to adjourn made by Meg,
I'll second it.
motion to adjourn made by Meg and seconded by Hank. All those in favor?
I really want to hang around for
7-0.
another 2 minutes.
Very well.